Welcome to Caregiver Cast with Mary Elaine. Are you overwhelmed raising a family, working full-time, caring for a parent or grandparent? It can be challenging when you're doing it alone. Caregiver Cast helps busy, burned-out professionals reduce their stress and overwhelm to create a better caregiving experience for themselves and their loved one. Caregiver Cast brings caregivers together with experts who provide information in a variety of areas. In each episode, you'll get tips on topics such as finance, legal, medical, self-care, community resources, mindset, and more. We're here to make your caregiving journey a more rewarding one. Acquire the confidence and skills to be a more capable caregiver by implementing the resources and strategies from these expert thought leaders. Get a community of support, resources, and strategies for your caregiving journey inside the Caregiver Lifeline community. Visit caregiverlifelinecommunity.com. And now here's your host, Mary Elaine.
Hi, welcome to Caregiver Cast. My name is Mary Elaine, your host. My guest today is Jeff Cade, who will be talking about self-care is the new healthcare. And his topic is very timely for caregivers. Before I formally introduce Jeff, I'm going to give you some background information about him. Jeff Cade has been in the health and wellness space for over 15 years with a Bachelor of Science degree in hospitality management from the University of Houston. He worked in corporate America for Fortune 500 companies while serving in sales, food and beverage operations, and dietary and nutrition, to name a few. Jeff also co-owned a healthy restaurant franchise concept and later became an award-winning author of the book, Battleground Cancer, Managing Your Mental, Physical, and Spiritual Well-Being for the Fight. Jeff has been on a variety of speaking platforms, radio, podcast, and a guest on WHPR TV 33 in Detroit, Michigan. Jeff is continuing his education via the Institute of Integrated Nutrition for further knowledge in health and wellness and holistic care. He's a high school varsity tennis coach and has a genuine demeanor and passion for serving others. Finally, he's a loving husband and father who wants the U.S. to reset, redefine, and repurpose for a health-powered lifestyle. Welcome, Jeff, to the Caregiver Cast.
Thank you for having me. I appreciate
that. Of course.
Thank you.
So we had quite a lengthy discussion, and yes, you had your background in sales and nutrition and food. And how did you decide to enter health and wellness, and why is it important for you?
Well, it's a great question. Thank you, Mary, for having me and allowing me to be your guest here. You know, health and wellness is a movement. It's a movement, and it's a journey, just like success. It's not a destination. And I've been in the hospitality operational space, but I also wanted to really enhance my knowledge on health and wellness. And as years have gone by, it's really important that we take care of ourselves. Hence, self-care is the new healthcare. And without your mindset, mental capacity, physical capacity, emotional, spiritual, if you don't have those in line, it could be very challenging for one to navigate life. Yes. And I believe that the three most important ingredients to the recipe of your soul is your mindset, diet, and exercise. So I've just been very involved in this space and still learning and growing to be a servant leader to help others.
Well, thank you for that. I totally agree with you. I think a lot of our national figures for diabetes and heart disease and Alzheimer's. It's all due to diet. So I really commend you for coming out and really working on that specific issue, because I think that will be really critical in the next decades. So
For sure. Thank you.
So explain how you developed your Ultimate Health and Happiness program.
Well, thank you. So it really started from the sounding board or the premise of my book called Battleground Cancer. And I'll dial it back here so I can kind of forward it to the question, if you will.
Sure.
I had a lot going on in terms of the loss of my parents 6 years apart.
Mm-hmm.
I lost my father, my hero, to pancreatic cancer. And I lost my mother 6 years apart, my shero, to breast cancer. And I was a young adult. And so not understanding or just trying to navigate life by,
Mm-hmm.
I lost my parents, so I missed the parental touch, the love, the guidance, and just trying to really understand how I could really, of course, kind of go through such certain situations, because it was, of course, traumatic and heartbreaking.
Mm-hmm.
And I had a lot of stuff going on inside, full transparency, and very challenging from the mental and the emotional aspect, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I held a lot of things in, but I also knew that I was taught as a young one that you have to persevere, you have to go through, life's going to present you a lot of obstacles, ebbs and flows, ups and downs, and time is precious, and we're only here for a short time, so enjoy it, right?
Right.
And it's different to hear that when all is good, and then when something happens, when you lose a loved one, especially the cancer or any disease, right?
Mm-hmm.
It's very heartbreaking. And so I wanted to really share my journey of losing my parents, but not just really about cancer. The book is very educational, uplifting, inspiring, motivational, as it relates to one's trying to live a healthier lifestyle. And not that my parents didn't, it's just that the things that I know now as a healthy lifestyle specialist were different, of course, when I was younger. There were things that I was just unaware of. I'm sure there were things unaware for them. And so I was able to just compile my thoughts, my emotions and everything, and pin the book. And, it was definitely therapeutic, Mary, but what's more important, I know, and I know, in our circle of influence, have loved ones or friends that are fighting right now who have cancer or other diseases, or we know that someone has received their wings because of their transition, and they're no longer here in the physical presence, but they now are in spiritual essence. And so that's tough.
Mm-hmm.
That's tough to navigate. And so I wanted to be able to share stories and be able to serve and touch people from afar, with the book. And so hence I said to myself, well, I need to really also present not just a book, but go further with it, with my experience through college and corporate America, and having co-owning a restaurant, and knowing what I know, and doing the research and putting it all in a program. And so the Ultimate Health and Happiness program, it's really about a digital virtual module based um, program that has different modules that we serve. My team and I serve in a different aspect of how you can learn, how you can really absorb the information and live a healthier lifestyle. See, for me, I empower and partner with people to transform their unhealthy choices into an active, vibrant lifestyle. And so the different modules, it's a 7 week to 8 week program where we talk about your purpose and why, the
Mm,
beautiful mindset, the
right.
transformation process. Your health is your wealth, energy, exercise, vitality, eating right, doing right. And
Mm,
most importantly, you have to stick with the plan.
of
And everything is
course.
done, yes, yes, everything is done in moderation. But there are just some things that I know, and you may know this, that, the FDA and other governing organizations, you know, they're not, they didn't really inform us as an audience of what to eat and what not to eat. The
Right.
FDA just approves things that are edible. They don't approve things that are healthy. It's up to us to make those decisions.
Right.
But we can't live a healthier lifestyle by eating a lot of GMOs, genetically modified organisms, or foods or beverages laced with sugar and high fructose corn syrup.
Right.
So, you know,
Mhm.
um, I'll give you a quick example, if I may.
Sure. Go right
Um,
ahead. I think this is really important because I know manufacturers add the, high fructose corn syrup, or they add something to like the potato chips so that we eat the whole bag and more. So please go right ahead.
you hit it right there on the head. I mean, it's marketing, right? It's
Mhm.
marketing. It's what they feed our brains, especially now with this
Mhm.
pandemic cloud among us. Since for the last couple of years, we've been inundated with disruptions, distractions, um, social media, and et cetera. So my point being, my father, who was actually a pharmacist, and so I kind of think he knew better.
Mm,
I laugh at this, but you
mm,
know, they advertise, highly advertise, a red can of soda. They advertise it as joy and happiness all the time, right?
right.
And they advertise it with the polar bears and Santa Claus and all these things, right?
Mhm.
And so my father drank that can of red soda, or that can of red soda all the time. But it wasn't just every day. It was multiple cans, it was bottles. And
Mhm.
I'll have to say it, Coca-Cola, I believe, really was a major component to a lot of people that consumed it, led to a lot of inflammation. Um, that's the start.
Yes.
That's the start of something that can go really bad. And so
Mhm.
when I look back, I'm a 60s product. I'm a 60s product. And so I remember seeing my dad with, um, you know, cans of Coke. And as I got older, I saw it in the underneath the sink and in the refrigerator. So I'm thinking
Oh.
30 and 40 years go by. I mean, who's to know what he's doing at work? All I see it as a youth, I see this can of Coca-Cola, at
Mhm.
home when he comes home all the time, all the time. And so, high fructose corn syrup serves no nutritional value or purpose in our bodies.
I
And
agree.
they're just chemical compounds that serve no nutritional value or purpose. And over time, it can, oversaturate our arteries. It can lead to a lot of things. And so
Sure.
my father also, I'll share this with you. He was a smoker. And, you know, but he didn't die of um, throat cancer, lung cancer, stomach cancer. Sammy Davis Jr. smoked a lot and he died of throat cancer.
Mm.
No heart disease, nothing. And he was active.
Mhm.
He was active. I think over time, from stress of being a pharmacist and drinking that mixture, I call it, you know, I think that was a major component to his demise. He died when he was 65, 66, and that's pretty young.
Mhm.
And so I wanted to share that, and I also share that in the book because we have to understand that when we look at our labeling and packaging content,
Mhm.
if the ingredients are more than a paragraph, we really have to take a second look at that and say, you know
Mhm.
what, maybe I shouldn't put this I shouldn't consume this product. I shouldn't put this on my body.
Mhm.
Lotions, potions. There's a lot of things out there that we really have to do our due diligence with in terms of understanding the content on the labeling and packaging, because over time, over time, it can clog your arteries. It could do a lot of damage to our bodies. And then
Mhm.
next thing you know, we're taking scans and we're in the hospital and things. And see, the thing about it is we really have to eat our food as medicine, the proper
Yes. Okay.
vitamins and nutrients, versus taking our medication as food. Um, Especially in this healthcare sector. We don't want to be in a hospital bed. We want to be able to take care of ourselves and make good decisions and enjoy life and make sure that we are strong mentally, physically, spiritually, emotionally.
Hmm.
And I just think that over time, um, that was a bad habit. That was a bad habit. And I know we all have our habits. No one's perfect, right? But
Right.
we also have to moderate. We have to kind of eat and drink, um, consume moderately, and be careful of what we're doing. And so, you know, it's just I had to share that because that's something I know that affected his health.
Thank you so much for sharing that story. I think that's really important. Um, Two things. My father would allow my brother and I to have soda if we went out sometimes to dinner, or we rarely had it in the house. He felt, and I guess studies now have shown that it really deteriorates like your teeth and your bone structure. So I don't drink it as much in my daily life. Um, Partly from that example that
Yeah.
my parents had set. However, my father did smoke until he was in his 60s or 70s, and he was able to stop cold turkey. I mean, I guess he eliminated cigarettes either for like 5 days or whatever. And
Mhm.
um, so I, as a speech pathologist, was really happy that he did that, knowing that he could have like throat cancer or a laryngectomy. So I try to inform him, yet allow him to make those decisions. But you're right. The smoking and everything else that we feed our body really have a huge impact on our body. And that's the reason why a lot of people are overweight or obese and have a lot of those medical conditions that they might have been able to prevent if they had taken better care of themselves and eaten a more nutritious diet. So, how do people find out about you and your weight optimization or health and wellness program?
Yes, thank you for that. People can actually connect with me at jeffcade360.com. That's my first name and last name, JEFFCADE 360.com, jeffcade360.com. And it's a social media platform or a social media communication hub. And for those that are on, say, Facebook or Instagram, they can connect with me. Or for those who are not on social media, you can peruse through the actual site and send me a direct email and or text message
Okay.
privately. And
Mhm.
so that allows you to kind of see what I'm doing as a healthy lifestyle specialist and an author. Um, and there's it's a site within a site, meaning the program is actually within the hub of jeffcade360.com. And so
Okay.
you can actually book a free discovery strategy call with me, and we could talk about your health goals, get to know one another better. Every program is not for everyone. It just depends
Mhm.
on your goals and how we can really define them. And I can obviously empower and make sure I partner with you, so that we can, you know, have these health goals because it's important. It's very important. This is the beginning of a new year.
Mhm.
There's a lot going on, Mary, in terms of what I mentioned earlier about disruptions and distractions in terms of our political and global climate,
Hmm.
our economy,
Yeah.
war,
Hmm.
you know, um, a lot of things happening in certain states, and they are it can bring a lot of anxiety,
Hmm.
fear, depression, and we really have to have a little bit more clarity and focus, so that we could live a healthier lifestyle, and that's my purpose, that's my passion. So
Hmm.
indeed, people can connect with me, jeffcade360.com. Let's have a conversation.
Fantastic. So if when somebody is in your program, I know everything is individualized. I understand that. Are there specific tips that you would recommend that our listeners can implement, especially when they're caregiving for someone else?
Yeah, I mean, it's very important that I mentioned it earlier about GMOs, genetically modified
Right.
organisms, and those can include
Mhm.
tomatoes, potatoes, corn, squash, golden rice, etc. There are a couple things in there. So we want to really eat natural or organic foods free of any pesticides or toxins, right? So
Mhm.
you want to stay away from GMOs. You want to try and eat some things naturally, or possibly, depending on one's financial status, eat organic. Organic costs a little bit more, but your body's going to thank you. Your body's going to thank you.
Okay.
Um, Hydration is key. I like and prefer alkaline water, because when you're in a alkalized state, oh my goodness, your pH, meaning point of hydrogen, is
Mhm.
is through the roof.
Okay.
I try and look for 9+, 8+, 9+ pH in alkaline water, but I'm drinking regular water now. So it's all about you know preference, and I'm actually right now I'm ending a 30-day water challenge. Some friends and I got this 30-day water challenge, and all that
Wow.
is, you can do it whenever. You can do so many weeks, you can do so many months, and that's with meals or without meals, even when you're working out, etc. It's about really just hydrating with water, because it's refreshing, because it's healthy. It's almost a detoxification process, right? Just like drinking certain teas. They could be
Right.
green tea, black tea, ginger tea, you know, and this 30-day challenge it means no alcohol, no beer, no wine, and no sugar. Now, the thing about that is, you're like me. I don't drink soda. Um, I don't drink soda. I used to follow my father's footsteps, like father, like son. I would drink Coke from time to time, but I got away from it. I stopped drinking soda. It was like I just stopped. I just stopped. And that was probably 20 plus years ago. So I don't really drink soda, but it's all about, excuse me, drinking water throughout your day, and just hydrating, because it's a flush, right? It's a good,
Right.
it helps with your skin management. It it
Mhm.
just it just refreshes your organs. And it's good. Shoot for a gallon, or more a day. Replace the soda with water. Replace the energy drink with water. Another thing is, I mentioned, we want to. Here's a challenge to your audience, because I've had to put the challenge in my home, and I've had to challenge others, some of my clients.
Okay.
When you're in the home and you're looking in your cabinets, look at the back of the labeling, and if there's anything that says high fructose corn syrup on it, you might want to get rid of it. Now, I know it can be tough, but I didn't say get rid of it today. You just want to reduce some of those items that have high fructose corn syrup in it, because if you've been consuming it all this time, you know, it can have it can have an impact on you later in life.
Hmm.
So you want to just take certain products that you're accustomed to, and just kind of try and reduce it. Try and just get it out of your system, and then eventually out of your home. There's so many other supplemental replaceable items, that we could utilize. And again, your body, your heart is going to thank you. A lot of things, as you know, unfortunately, are manufactured and processed with high fructose corn syrup. Even ketchup, for those
I
who
know.
like ketchup, for those who like
Yeah.
certain syrups on their pancakes and or breakfast, there are options that don't have the high fructose corn syrup and syrups. Like Log Cabin does not have any high fructose corn syrup. So you just have to really, it's a process. This is a process. Just like it's a process if you're a carnivore going straight into becoming vegan. That is a process. That is a process. So I don't want to go into the science based about eating meats and stuff like that, because meats do have protein. You know, but if we talk about beef, well, I'm not necessarily a beef eater, but if I do, I really prefer grass fed versus corn fed. So, it's just a matter of your choices and how you decide what you're going to consume food and beverage wise. But just be very mindful of those labels. It's very important.
I
It's
totally.
paramount. Paramount.
I'm with you. I totally agree. So no high fructose corn syrup, watch the labeling, drink water, no GMOs. Anything else that affects
Yes.
people's weight
Yes.
and health condition? Go ahead, please.
Another one is, I know I briefly talked about meats. You want to stay away from, and people can Google this, right? You want to stay away from nitrates and nitrates. Nitrates and nitrates, just like high fructose corn syrup, have been around for ages, decades, decades, decades. So, they're used in the production, the processing of most of our foods, especially meats. And I want people to look that up, because it can be harmful to you over time. You want to try and stay away. And now, Mary, I'll give you a prime example. So you go to the grocery store and you like deli meats. Like I like deli meats. However, I'm going to go with the brand, and it says on the front, no nitrates, no nitrates. Say for chicken, no antibiotics used.
Right.
You got to make sure that the things you're consuming don't have these chemical compounds in them, because they can, over time, they can hurt you, right? I'm not gonna say it can become fatal, but it can hurt you over time, because inflammation starts everything. Inflammation starts everything. We just have to be mindful of what we're really putting in our bodies so we can live that healthier lifestyle. I like to talk about certain doctors that we use or we have in our lives. And I was informed of this, and someone shared this with me, so I'm going to share it with you. Has anybody heard of Dr. Serds? SERDS, Dr. Serds. And so I'm pretty sure all of us have at least one doctor in our lives. Well, Dr. Serds, Dr. S is all about sunlight, natural sunlight, getting that vitamin D. And E is all about, Dr. E is about getting that exercise. And Dr. R is about getting the required rest that we need. There's a lot of data out there that suggests 7 to 8 hours of sleep can prevent brain fog, and you don't want to wake up sluggish. When we're asleep, our bodies, our cells, muscles are going through a healing and recovery process. And you don't want to have 4 or 5 hours sleep, and then now that starts the brain fog, that starts the sluggishness. You have no energy. The Dr. D is for our diet.
Right.
I know there are a lot of diets out there, but it's not about dieting. It's about how colorful are you making your plate? Are you adding the necessary proper fruits and vegetables on that plate? Are you consuming more sodas or energy drinks or have high fructose corn syrup? Are you drinking less water? Are you consuming more fried foods? So again, it comes down to choices and moderation. And the last S, Dr. S, is really about self-esteem. You know, having the confidence,
Mm.
being courageous, being in the moment, being present, doing things with intention, and just making sure that you are doing what you're saying you're going to be accountable to you,
Mm-hmm.
because self-closure is very important as it
Mm-hmm.
relates to your vitality, your vibrancy, and your well-being. So those are little things I like to share when I'm talking.
Well, thank you very much. I like Dr. Surd's um, sunlight, exercise, diet, rest, and self-esteem. I think all of those are really extremely important to make
Yes,
us more vibrant and healthy in our lives so that we can be, like you said, more present, not only with ourselves, but with the people around us and those that we care for. I really appreciate that. So we know how to get in touch with you. Do you have 3 takeaways that you can offer our audience today?
I may not have 3, but I do have one where people can, after they connect with me, let's do a discovery strategy call so that we could talk about what you're really doing in
Mhm.
terms of your health. If you don't have goals, have health goals, let's start that process. Let's
Exactly.
look at what you're doing. Secondly, we can go over a health form that I do. It's very, it's not lengthy, but it's really about understanding what's important to you and what you've been doing throughout your life. It's really about self discovery and fulfillment, and it's a health form. And I like to go over that with people so that I can understand more about them to see if this program is right for them or not. Yes.
Thank you. I appreciate that. This has been very enlightening. I appreciate you sharing your knowledge and your experience with both your parents having cancer. My mother had Alzheimer's, so I appreciate kind of like the other spectrum, part of the spectrum of
Yes.
um, disorders that our families can sometimes encounter. Again, can you just let us know how to get in touch with you, Jeff?
Yes. Thank you. Once again, people can connect with me at jeffcade360.com. Jeffcade360.com. It's a communication hub through social media. Again, if social media is not your lane, people can actually send me a direct text from this particular program and platform or an email, and obviously letting me know that you uh, heard me on this particular show and platform, and we can go from there. We can definitely talk about some things that are important to you, what you're trying to overcome, any obstacles, how I can partner and empower what you're doing,
Mhm.
and we'll take it from there. Most definitely.
Thank you so much, Jeff. I really appreciate you being here and sharing your knowledge today. Thank you.
Thank you for having me on the show, Mary. I appreciate it. Thank you so much.
Thank you for listening to the Caregiver Cast today. Get a community of support, resources, and strategies for your caregiving journey inside the Caregiver Lifeline community. Visit caregiverlifelinecommunity.com. Get involved with the show. Send your email to mpetrusi2002@gmail.com. And we'll see you again next week for another episode of Caregiver Cast.